The death toll in the Tamil Nadu Hooch tragedy continues to mount. And the deadly booze has now killed 58 people so far. Over 150 people are still undergoing treatment in hospital. So far, 14 people have been arrested, and the hunt is on to find the source of methanol that led to these deaths. Upping the ante against not just the DMK government in Tamil Nadu, but the entire India bloc, BJP National President JP Nadda has written to Congress Chief Mallikarjun Kharge, targeting the Congress for what he called its deafening, hypocritical silence. JP Nadda has urged Kharge to pursue Rahul Gandhi and Priyanka Vadra to either pay a visit to the victims' families or at least muster the courage to raise their voice on this issue. Tamil Nadu BJP chief K. Annamalai and other state leaders met the governor and demanded resignation of the state prohibition minister and transfer of the case to the CBI. Congress, on the other hand, denied being silent on the issue, with party MP Karti Chidambaram offering his condemnation. Amidst the heated politics on the deaths, DMK ally MNM chief Kamal Hassan has stoked a row by putting the onus of the tragedy on the deceased themselves. Kamal Hassan, who campaigned for both the DMK and Congress in the recent Lok Sabha polls, called those killed careless. Listen in.
See, I cannot say I have no sympathy for these victims. But these victims will have to understand they've exceeded their limit. And they've been careless. They have to be careful. They have to take care of their health. There are enough available liquor, more than pharmacies. We have Tasman. My request to any government, not just one government which is existing now, the previous and the governments to come, my request would be to create psychiatric centers which will counsel them out of this delirium tremens that they are suffering now. It has to be occasional drinking, social drinking, if at all. But they must understand that exceeding limit in any form, be it sugar, anything is bad. And this necessarily is bad.
Joining us now is Member of Parliament Karti Chidambaram. Thank you so much, Mr. Karti Chidambaram, for joining us this evening. And let me start by talking about the ongoing Hooch tragedy, where the death toll in Tamil Nadu has risen to 58, over 150 people undergoing treatment. Wouldn't you agree that this is a massive failure on part of the state government?
Absolutely. It's a great tragedy. It is a failure on behalf of the administration, the police, the district administration, the intelligence. I agree that it's a colossal failure. They should have never allowed this illicit trade to flourish, and there is no way that this illicit trade could have happened without the know-how of the local administration and whoever is in authority in that area.
Right, because you've seen the BJP come down very heavily on the Congress over their apparent silence in the first case, in this particular case. First, we've seen Union Minister Nirmala Sitharaman slamming senior Congress leader Mr. Rahul Gandhi as well as Mr. Mallikarjun Kharge, your party's president, stating that more than 200 people are still in hospital in a critical stage. 56 have died, and most of them are from the scheduled caste. Condemn the incident. I'm shocked that the Congress has not uttered a single word. What would you say in response to the Union Finance Minister?
That's not true. I mean, I don't know whether Mrs. Sitharaman can read Tamil. But the Tamil Nadu Congress has President Mr. Selva Perendiga has immediately put out a statement. I had issued a statement as well, and we all speak for the Congress party. Many people in the Congress party have spoken in Tamil Nadu, and we completely accept that this is a great tragedy and is also a great administrative failure, and there is no two ways about it. So how is Mrs. Sitharaman saying that there has been silence on our part? I mean, unless she can't read Tamil.
On part of your leaders, perhaps, Mr. Kharge and Mr. Rahul Gandhi is the reference that one assumes she is making over there.
I mean, has the Prime Minister of India commented about it? No, okay. It's not necessary, you know. It's not necessary that the Congress president or the former Congress president have to issue a statement. When the state Congress party president has issued a statement, it is on behalf of the Congress party. So what more should we do? I mean, This is all nitpicking. I mean, has the Prime Minister issued a statement on this? I mean, I could come up with 25 other incidents where the Prime Minister has not said a word. I mean, would that be fair, where somebody else in the BJP might have issued a statement? I mean, I don't understand what this nitpicking is all about.
All right. Moving on, today we've seen the Tamil Nadu BJP, they've met with the governor, they've submitted a representation, and they have sought a CBI investigation into the Kallakurichi Hooch Tragedy. Where does the Congress stand on this? Are you in favor of a CBI investigation?
No, I think the state government has already entrusted it to the CB-CID in Tamil Nadu. And the CB-CID in Tamil Nadu is fully capable of investigating this. And I think the Chief Minister will now decisively act against this illicit trade. I don't think there's any reason for a central agency to immediately step in. Let's see how this investigation goes and how they and what it. There's also a one-man judicial commission has been appointed. So let's see what happens out of this. And then you can't blame the Chief Minister for not acting. The Chief Minister has acted, has decisively acted immediately, except for maybe seeking the resignation of any of his ministerial colleagues. He has acted decisively. Let's see what the reports say, and let's get the full facts, and let's see what kind of follow-up action the Chief Minister will be taking before we jump into and asking for a central agency to come in.
Right. There's also some comments coming in from actor, politician and founder of the Makkal Nidhi Mayam, Kamal Hassan, where he has recently made comments which are tantamount to victim blaming. He has said that victims of the Hooch tragedy were careless and quote-unquote exceeded their limit. What is your opinion on this? Because, you know, at the end of the day, victim blaming in such a tragedy, can it divert attention?
Let me be very clear. I'm not a votary of prohibition. I know there are many people who say we must have to complete prohibition. I'm not a votary of prohibition. I think prohibition will only lead to greater amount of illicit alcohol trade. The idea is to regulate the trade, to limit the reach and the access to people who are underage from accessing this alcohol. You must monitor it. You must regulate it. And that's the way forward. I mean, I'm not, and we must also have education. I mean, I heard Mr. Kamal Hassan's full statement. He's also calling for a lot of de-addiction centers, counseling, and all those things. I know we need all that. And I think, sometimes Kamal Hassan is a very plain speaker, and sometimes, you have to be politically correct here and not do plain speaking. I've been accused of the same thing. I do a lot of plain speaking. I also don't believe that prohibition is the answer. I believe regulation, education, monitoring is really the answer. In fact, the fact that there are people from a very poor economic background were the victims also shows that the available outlets which serve legal alcohol is beyond their means. I'm not suggesting that you must make this universally acceptable, but that's also the economic fact which is coming out of this. So regulation, monitoring, and education is the way forward, and I don't really think prohibition is the answer, and that's really what Mr. Kamal Hassan was saying. I'm really not his spokesman for me to clarify it, but sometimes in our politics today, being politically correct is more important than doing plain speaking, but I really don't subscribe to that school of thought.
Right. Let's move on to Parliament. Today has been the first day of the session, and in fact, we've seen Rahul Gandhi allege that Prime Minister Modi and Union Home Minister Amit Shah have been attacking the Constitution and that it was not acceptable to the opposition-led India bloc. Can you share with us what really is the strategy? We've seen, of course, the protests with the Constitution in hand, etc., today take place. What exactly is the message that you're trying to send out?
So this is not the first instance where parliamentary norms, precedents, constitutional propriety have all been thrown to the wind. There is an 8-term MP in the House, and the precedence was that he would be given the opportunity to be the pro tem speaker. But that has been denied to Mr. Kodikondu Suresh, and we've been pointing that out. And a member who has 1 term less than Mr. Kodikondu Suresh has been appointed as a pro tem speaker. This is only a ceremonial role, and the BJP is not even willing to share that ceremonial role which by precedence belonged to a member of the India bloc. This shows their attitude towards respecting the mandate of the people and one for precedence, and that's exactly what we've been pointing out.
Right, because today the Prime Minister has launched an all-out attack. You would have seen his comments when it comes to the emergency, referring to it as a black spot on the country's democracy. How do you see these comments coming in, particularly at a time when opposition is hurling digs at the Prime Minister and the BJP over saving the Constitution?
You see, the point is the Congress party, Mrs. Indira Gandhi herself, has expressed regret over the emergency. And that was an aberration. We accept that. Just because an aberration happened in our watch does not mean we have no right to point out the other aberrations which are happening in politics. It's the same thing. If we talk about the economy, they'll immediately go to some incident in the past and say, oh, this was like that. If we talk about a train accident, you will say a train accident happened when we were in government. If you talk about a paper leak, you will say a paper leak happened during your government. If you talk about a Hooch tragedy, you will say a Hooch tragedy happened in your government. So which means that the opposition cannot speak about anything, and that the same logic applies to the BJP cannot speak about anything either, because there have been tragedies and aberrations which have happened in their regime as well. I don't understand this logic. Just because that happened 45 years ago, you were not allowed to speak about it today. It's to say that nobody in America can talk about racism because their grandfathers owned slaves or had plantations which had slaves. I don't understand this logic at all. This argument of this logic.
Right. No, of course, whataboutery is something that is very much part of a political discourse. Perhaps you're right to that extent. But let me just point out some facts that
I think you encourage it. I think interviewers like you encourage it.
Not at all. Not at all. No question of encouraging anything. We will certainly put questions. I don't know if you've seen my interviews with the rulers, the ruling party members, and they are probing questions to them as well. I encourage you to look at the past interviews of mine. But let me put a simple question to you. This is a fact that is often stated by the BJP, because they time and again say that between 66 and 77, during Indira Gandhi's regime, the Constitution was amended 25 times. And in fact, as many as 41 articles in the 42nd Amendment were amended, while 11 were added under Prime Minister Modi. And therefore, they have compared the two amendments and to sort of cite that within a similar time period, the number of times that the Constitution was changed was far more during Indira Gandhi's period. How would you respond to that?
You see, I don't want to dispute your numbers, but the important thing is what impact did those amendments have? Were they all minor amendments, or were they taking away rights of people? Were they centralizing power in the hands of the central government? Those are the questions that must be asked. If those amendments were just making things easier, were only for administrative purposes and for administrative convenience, that's a different matter. I'm not a constitutional scholar. I really can't answer qualitatively what happened there, but quantitatively I accept your number. Just because those amendments happened during our time does not mean that we don't have a right to comment about the amendments this government is trying to bring about. Obviously a lot of things would have happened in the 50 plus years the Congress party was in government. Does that disqualify the Congress party about commenting about any issue at all which is currently happening? That's my point. You always have to go back and say this happened, that happened, so you can't speak about this. If you speak about China, you'll say, oh, during Nehru's time, there were incursions and you lost, the war did not go in our favor. So you can't talk about China. If we talk about Sri Lanka, you said, oh, you sent IPKF there. So what are we allowed to speak? According to this logic, what can a party which has been in government before and not in government now actually speak about?
Right. Fair point, perhaps. But last question before I let you go, Mr. Karti Chidambaram. A lot of confusion, uncertainty about who the LOP will be. Now that the session has started, who would be your choice for LOP?
I think the logical choice is Rahul Gandhi. He is the face of the party. He's been the face of the Congress party's campaign. The Congress party is the largest party in the India bloc, and logically he should be the leader of the opposition. And that's the will of the party. It's been reflected in our, in the statement put out by in the resolution put out by our working committee as well, and by our parliamentary party when we all collectively met.
How soon do you hope we'll get to know what the decision is?
I don't know. I'm not part of the decision-making mix, so I really don't know.
All right. Thank you so much, Karti Chidambaram, for joining us and speaking your mind. Certainly, of course, a number of issues of national importance from the Parliament session, of course, the issues relating to the Constitution, and, of course, the tragedy that we've seen in Kallakurichi, and certainly hope that there is justice at the earliest for all those victims as well. Thank you so much for joining us.